Hello, this is Sri from BizBuzz, What Matters the Most in Your Business, and sponsored by My Work Belt. My Work Belt is a all-in-one software, particularly catering to service-based small businesses. And today we have a guest, Craig Andrews. Craig Andrews is a principal ally at alliesforme.com. They provide marketing support and marketing help for those who are selling high ticket, high trust items. Craig, how are you doing today?
Sri, I'm doing wonderfully. How about yourself?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you very much for joining me on this show today. And as always, it's a great pleasure talking to you, and you are a wealth of knowledge.
Oh, well, thank you. Always look forward to our discussions.
Yes, yes. So, speaking of wealth of knowledge and marketing in together, you are the master of that. So, I wanted to ask you, what is the importance, or how important is it for a small business to be as specific as possible on their target audience?
Well, that's a lesson that is hitting me again here recently. And just the short answer is it's really important.
Hmm.
And when I start working with a client, the very first thing I ask them is the very first thing we do is we build an avatar or a persona,
Yes, yes.
and we build it around one specific person that represents their ideal client.
Hmm.
And sometimes the discussion goes, well, hey, we serve all sorts of people. I don't want to narrow in
Correct.
on this. And I'm
That's
like,
correct.
no, no, no. I get that, but we're going to start with one. We're going to speak specifically to this one persona. And over Christmas, I took an afternoon. We shut down for 2 weeks, and I took an afternoon in those 2 weeks, and I met with a couple people that I know and trust that
Mhm.
spoke into my business. And I told one of them, I said, Eric, I'm not following my own advice.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm doing stuff that I would never let clients get away with, and I think it's hurting me.
Well,
And
that's how we come up with the idea of plumber's house is always leaking.
yes, yeah, and the cobbler's kids have no shoes.
There you go.
Um, but some of it is, I mean, especially when it comes to marketing, um, it's there's a tremendous benefit having an outside perspective.
Indeed,
And
yes.
and Eric gave me that perspective, and he didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. As a matter of fact, a lot of marketers are really good at helping you see what's standing right in front of you,
Hmm.
and they just kind of amplify that. But he told me, he said, Craig, he said, you do really well in the wealth management space. You should spin up a separate brand, separate website, still keep your Allies for Me brand going, but spin up this separate brand that targets exclusively wealth managers. And so I've been working on that, still working on that, but the new brand name is called Fiduciary Alchemy. And since I've been having conversations, just in the new year, where are we? It's not even the end of January. And the other piece of advice he told me, he said, why don't you start up a podcast
Right.
for wealth managers? And it's not even the beginning of January. And I can't count the number of people I've talked to, and they said, when I say, hey, I'm looking for guests for my podcast. And here's what podcast is about. And they're like, I know two, I know three. And, Friday I was having lunch with somebody and he said, oh yeah, I know two. That'd be really good. And I'm a little bit skeptical because usually in that space, when somebody says I know two, they know two financial advisors, which is usually a lone gun.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
those are not our clients. But he pulled up their websites for me. And I looked at it and looked at the number of advisors they had. I'm like, that's exactly who I'm looking for. So
So,
the
yeah,
point of this is as soon as I got very specific, it became easier for others to refer me.
it is indeed correct. But here is the challenge, though. If you are a small business owner and if you are servicing multiple different personas, it's difficult for you to focus on only one, and you will be in the challenge that you're missing out and you're not talking to other people.
Yeah,
How do you overcome that?
so my response to that, and again, this is advice I ignored myself, is first off, when you do really well in one field and people see you doing well, they start asking, "Hey, can you help me? I know I'm not a financial, wealth manager, but can you help me?" And that happens. But the other thing, and let me give an example. There's a town in California. It's about two-thirds of the way from San Francisco to Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the town's name is Vacaville. And almost nobody I talk to knows where Vacaville is. It's
Correct.
very rare. So it's an obscure town. It's a bedroom community. It's not that big. And there was a financial advisor in Vacaville that decided he was going to get super specific about his target audience.
Yeah.
So he started targeting, he decided he was going to go after, and he was going to speak exclusively to this group of people as if nobody else existed. He was going to speak to single, divorced, female nurses in their 50s who are Christians.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
You're
And
more or less looking for a needle in the haystack, isn't it?
he drew a 20-mile radius around the center of Vacaville and he sent out that message, messaging speaking to single, divorced, Christian, female nurses in their 50s. The next year, he did over 1 million in revenue.
Oh
Yes.
wow.
Yeah, just by himself.
That is an impressive business case.
Yeah. And that's the example I give clients when they say, hey, they don't want to specialize. But again, I've ignored my own advice. But it's shocking who starts coming out of the woodwork when you do
Right,
that.
right, right.
And I'll give an example. I forget where I was, but I heard somebody say a word that began with cr, and that's all I heard. As soon as I heard the cr, I immediately turned my head because I thought they were saying Craig. And you've probably experienced this, probably less in the United States because there's not that many people shouting out in the crowd,
Pro,
Shri,
yes, 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 yes.
but if
But
your
I
name is
experience
Craig,
that all the time in India. Yes,
yeah, you hear your name, you immediately stop and you look because, hey, they're speaking to me.
they're speaking to me. Yes, or they are calling me, or
Yes.
they're asking for me. One of those. Yes, it's just
Well,
natural human tendency.
when your marketing message speaks very specifically to somebody, they
They're going to
say
turn their head.
they're, oh, somebody's talking to me. So,
Yes.
like the name of the brand, Fiduciary Alchemy. Most people don't know what the word fiduciary means, except for 100% of my target audience. And
Correct.
it's a word they use in their industry. And as soon as they
Right.
hear that, they're like, well, he's talking to me.
Yes. Yes.
And then we pull them in. But I mean, we don't even have
Now,
the website launched. We don't even have the brand developed. And my biggest problem right now is trying to get the website up and ready so I can start booking people on the podcast because I have so many people that are referring people to me to be on the podcast.
right. So my question here is now, yes, but how do you overcome the fear of losing when you go so specific and you may not see results immediately? You're basically changing your whole strategy from going and serving 100 people and to wanting to serve only 10% of that.
Well, I think what I would say to that is one, there's it's proven. What I'm
Hmm.
talking about is not theoretical, it's proven. I'm not breaking any new ground. This is well understood in the
Right.
industry. The second thing I would say in terms of the fear, there's a saying that scared money doesn't make money.
Well,
And
true, true.
and the and I'll give an example of some really big companies that got scared. and are now irrelevant. Nokia used to ship one out of
Mhm.
every two mobile phones in the world.
Yes,
They were just
they're
nobody
gone.
nobody could envision knocking. Well, one company, Samsung, said that they were going to be number one in mobile phones, and they achieved it.
They achieved it.
But for the most part, nobody could envision knocking over Nokia. And the most they would hope for would be, okay, maybe I get close to Nokia market share or I get slightly ahead of Nokia. Nobody would have ever predicted 20 years ago that Nokia would be dead as a mobile phone brand.
That is correct.
But what happened, they were a customer of ours. Um, and what happened was they got scared. They got so big that
Yes.
they got very cautious, and they were a company that would see a direction. They'd move there quickly. They would just take on the risks, but they started shifting and they got very, very cautious. Similarly, Motorola got cautious.
Hmm.
Motorola used to be number one in the world. Then Nokia
Now they're
passed,
gone.
and neither of those brands exist as a major mobile phone brand.
That's
Um,
correct.
Motorola sold their mobile phone business to Lenovo, and supposedly you can find one of their phones somewhere. Nokia, for a while, licensed the Nokia brand to another company to make Nokia phones. I had one of those, but that they didn't really make it.
So what is that? What does that mean? They got scared.
Well,
Did they
they got
change their branding, or they not taking any more risks, or they are not investing any into the innovation?
well. So there's a mechanism in folks that says, and it's very well understood by any seasoned marketer, knows that people are more motivated to minimize loss than to
Right.
maximize gain.
Hmm.
And so when you're going down that path, you're like, I don't want to lose access to the rest of this market. That's a false choice, by the way, but that's the mindset.
That's the mindset. Yes.
And so it sends them down that path. And so let's switch from doing business to buying and selling stocks. You see the same thing, same behavior in individual stock buyers. Uh,
Yes.
they they will buy something and then it will lose value, and they start saying, "I'll sell it as soon as it gets back to where I bought it." And
That's
what ends
true.
up happening is they ride it all the way down.
And
It's
then
like,
they have no choice but to dispose it.
right. I mean, years ago, if you'd bought GE 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it would have fallen off it fell off a cliff. It had a big drop. And if you had had the mindset of, well, it's GE, it's going to bounce back, I'll wait at least until it bounces back and sell, you'd be
Correct.
screwed because GE never bounced back.
No, that's true. So when you are scared, you make a wrong decisions, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and it's all focused on minimizing loss.
I'll
And
focus on minimizing loss.
yeah,
So instead of focusing on maximizing the profit, you're focusing on minimizing the loss. So by being specific, your strategy is changed from minimizing loss to the maximizing profit.
yeah, yeah. It's saying, okay, I can't serve the world and they're not hearing me anyway.
Correct.
And so I'm going to be
You're
very
going to
specific.
I'm going to serve to those who can hear me or who can listen to me.
Yes.
Excellent. So, Craig, thank you very much for joining me today. That's an incredible concept, and hope those who are listening to this podcast can capture that moment here that you, as the importance of being specific on your customer profile. And it is important to have a message as specific as possible to that particular target audience, and what are the pros and cons. And this discussion has been a very, very fruitful discussion for all of us. And hopefully, you are taking away from this conversation and use it in your own business for growing and thriving. If you have not subscribed already, I request you to subscribe to the channel and share this video to one of your friends or two of your friends. And until next time, see you then. Bye bye.